Welcome back, Pixel Nation Comics Division here. How the hell are you? So apparently this is the next escalation in the words or violence. Hate speech is now considered to be terrorism. Now I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, but comics, aren't you overblowing this just a teeny bit? No, I'm not. This article comes from Reuters. In a world first, Facebook to give data on hate speech suspects to French courts. What the fuck is going on in France? The things we say today may be considered hate speech tomorrow. The problem is hate speech is often so poorly defined, and it's not a stretch for the most benign of comments to be interpreted as hate speech. Just ask Megan Murphy. She was booted off of Twitter for saying men are not women, which can be interpreted as being anti-trans, even though it's pretty much a scientifically accurate statement. So I guess the question is, are these French courts going to be poring over decades worth of old social media posts looking for quote-unquote hate speech so they can go and ship people off to the gulag for wrongthink? The whole point of freedom of speech is to protect the speech that isn't exactly all that popular. As distasteful as you may see it, hate speech is free speech, and it should be protected. And if you don't have free speech. It doesn't mean you have to like it, it doesn't mean you condone it. Now, before we jump into this article, make sure to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. With all the censorship going on with YouTube, I'm not sure what my life expectancy is going to be here, so make sure to go and subscribe to my backup channel on BitChute. As always, the links are in the description. In a world first, Facebook has agreed to hand over the identification data of French users suspected of hate speech on the platform to judges. France's Minister of Digital Affairs, Cédric O, said on Tuesday. Now, I can understand if these were calls for violence, but it's not illegal to be hateful or have bad opinions. At least not yet, and I'm not exactly sure how the law works in France, but this sounds very, very dangerous to me. The decision by the world's largest social media network comes after successive meetings between Zuckerberg and Mark Cohn, who wants to take a leading role globally on the regulation of hate speech and its spread of false information online. Well, good luck with that. All we have to do is look at Google to see the dangers of what happens when big companies want to become the arbiters of truth. Hell, at this point, you might as well just call it the Ministry of Truth. So far, Facebook has cooperated with French justice on matters related to terrorist attacks and violent acts by transferring the IP addresses and other identification data of suspected individuals to French judges who formally demanded it. Going after terrorists makes sense. After all, these people are breaking the law and are committing acts of violence. Threats or calls to violence is not protected speech. So Facebook handing over the data in these instances does make sense. But hate speech is a completely different animal. Following a meeting between Nick Clegg, Facebook's head of global affairs, and O last week, the social media company has extended this cooperation to hate speech. Yeah, because that has no potential for abuse or anything. As is, you already have the Twitter thought police running around in the UK. This is huge news. It means the judicial process will be able to run normally. O told Reuters in an interview, "It's really very important. They're only doing it for France." Well, for now they're only doing it for France. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you folks, I'm not exactly versed in French law, so I have no idea what any of this means. To me, it seems like the judicial process probably worked just fine beforehand. Now, one of the downsides to being a free society and freedom in general is that people are going to go and abuse it. However, that is not a justification to go and take it away, which is what it seems like is going on here, at least to me. Now, if you live in France or you are familiar with the French judicial system, by all means, please leave a comment explaining this shit to me. Now we're getting into the part of the article where I have the biggest problem. It is a strong signal in the terms of regulation, said, and God, I hope I say this right, Sonia Sisa, a counsel at law firm Linklaters, adding it was a world first. Hate speech is no longer considered a part of freedom of speech. It's now on the same level as terrorism. Folks, this is absolute insanity. I don't defend the vile shit that people say, but I do defend their right to say it. Putting hate speech on the same level as terrorism is, oh my God, so irresponsible, and dangerous. I find that statement completely vile and sickening. What idiots like Sonia don't understand is that laws are enforced with guns. This is not going to be any different. You are basically giving the government the ability to throw a bag over your head and lock you away in some detention center, all because somebody was offended. I don't know, maybe she does understand this and simply just doesn't care. I'm pretty sure she thinks she's immune to this because, she is a black woman after all. I'm pretty sure that she's under the impression that hate speech laws will probably never apply to her. With Facebook's latest move, France is now the clear frontrunner in the quest to regulate big social media outlets, and other platforms may follow suit, CISA said. Yeah, because this isn't going to be a dystopian nightmare or anything. You make it sound like this is a good thing. It's not. The internet will become nothing but a bunch of cat videos and smiley face memes as not to offend the authoritarian technocrat overlords. Now, all this is beginning to remind me of a tabletop RPG game I used to play called Paranoia. It was originally published by West End Games back in the 80s and 90s. Now, the oversimplified synopsis of the game is it takes place in the future in a dystopian city run by an overbearing and paranoid AI known as Friend Computer that is constantly worried about traitors. It's more of a competitive game rather than a cooperative one where players are encouraged to go and fuck each other over to go and achieve their own goals. Anyway, the tagline for the game is trust the computer is your friend, not trusting the computer is treason, treason is punishable by death. Sorry about the RPG history lesson tangent, but in a lot of ways this kind of reminds me of what is going on, especially when it comes to big data and AI. Okay, where was I? The discussion on how to regulate tech giants began with a Zuckerberg-Marcone meeting last year, followed by a report on tech regulation last month that Facebook's founder considered could be a blueprint for a wider EU regulation. This is the part that is the most frightening. They don't want to just do this for France, but the entire EU as well. And now this makes sense why Zuckerberg was saying to Congress that he wants regulation, because he wants to go and regulate hate speech. The computer is your friend, citizen. Facebook has refrained from handing over identification data of people suspected of hate speech because it was not compelled to do so under US-French legal conventions and because it was worried countries without independent judiciary could abuse it. Now that's a very valid concern because there is a lot of potential for abuse. And let's be honest, it's gonna happen. Especially if you're treating hate speech like it's terrorism. Yeah, because there's no potential for abuse there. Let me know what your thoughts are, folks. Personally, I find this some serious clown world shit to put hate speech and terrorism on the same level. That's just insane to me. I don't understand why any human being would want to do this, but clown world, I'll catch you next time, folks. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you didn't, go ahead and give it a hate like. If you want to see more of my crappy content and shitty opinions, make sure to subscribe. Bash that bell for notifications. I've even heard it works on occasion. And I want to give a huge shout out to those of you who support me on Subscribestar. I do appreciate it. I'll catch you next time, folks.